What in the world? It changed. Clearly, there's more to Spider-Man's new costume than anyone knows. And I'm definitely gonna find out what that is. Because it's a whole new ballgame, Spider-Man. A whole new game. Today on the Comic Book Report, Symbiote Spider-Man. Stick around and check it out. Greetings, webheads! My name is Dominic and you're watching the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. Today we'll be looking at Peter David's Symbiote Spider-Man collection. But first, here are some quick facts. Symbiote Spider-Man is written by Peter David and penciled by Greg Land. The issues collected in this volume were published by Marvel Comics in 2019. This trade paperback collection collects Symbiote Spider-Man issues 1 through 5 and is 120 pages. At this time, I'd like to issue a general spoiler warning. I will be flipping through this collection and will be commenting on some plot details. You've been warned. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at this collection. As you can probably tell, this is a standard size trade paperback from Marvel. A little bit thin, not too bad. Like I said, it contains 5 issues. The cover itself is very glossy, and we'll go ahead and take a look at the spine, as well as the back cover there. We got some more amazing artwork. And I have to say, I love the art on the back. It almost looks like a graffitied spray paint kind of image. Good stuff. Like most back covers, we have a plot synopsis, as well as some accolades, and it also shows the pricing and the issues collected. Alright, now let's go ahead and take a look inside the collection itself. Of course, we have some front matter, and then getting into the issues. I always like seeing the covers reproduced. It gives me a great sense of place within these graphic novels. And at this time, I'd like to go ahead and give a little bit of context regarding this collection. The Symbiote Spider-Man series has Peter David's return to the character of Spider-Man. And for those that don't know, the novelty behind the Symbiote Spider-Man series is unlike others like the Amazing Spider-Man that go 1 through any number you want. The Symbiote Spider-Man has like a sequence of miniseries. So this one's titled Symbiote Spider-Man, and it's issues 1 through 5. There is no issue 6. The next issues are, I believe, Symbiote Spider-Man, Alien Reality issues 1 through whatever. In doing this, it doesn't get a bloated run count, and the feeling is more of a collection of standalone graphic novels, or a sequence of miniseries. And I think that's an absolute strength, because it makes me feel like when I buy this collection, I'll get a full story. And that's really what I got here. Another fun thing to note is that this isn't Spider-Man getting the alien costume back in the present day. This is Spider-Man set in the 80s when he first had the alien costume, but before he knew it was a living entity with a mind of its own, and long before the introduction of Venom. What that creates in this volume is a Spider-Man period piece that feels both fresh and modern, but bounded in the past. And in my mind, that might be this collection's greatest strength. I feel like I'm reading Spider-Man's deleted scenes from the 80s, or some kind of extended director's cut that has these other interludes or stories that we never heard of before. As far as the story within this collection goes, this is a Mysterio story through and through. In fact, I would say even more than a Spider-Man story, this is a Mysterio story. From the very first pages, Peter David crafts Mysterio in a way that makes me care about this villain, by showing us a picture of Quentin Beck, who is neither good nor evil, but rather human like the rest of us. We're presented with a Mysterio that is more bullied by Spider-Man rather than an evil monster that's vanquished by Spider-Man. And personally, I believe that that's where the heart of this story is, and that is where the most affecting character moments are within the collection. And while that is something great, and this will go down as one of my favorite Mysterio stories, I believe that the character of Peter Parker or Spider-Man is ultimately a little underserved. Because while Peter David spends time growing the character of Mysterio, we have Peter Parker in conflicts with Black Cat, his on and off again paramour, but it doesn't seem like anything noteworthy. In fact, I think some of the most striking Spider-Man character moments in this collection occur when Spider-Man is apparently unconscious, following the will of the symbiote itself, leaving Peter Parker effectively on autopilot. These scenes are often violent and surprising, and really show us more about the character of the symbiote than of Spider-Man. And while that is again very effective, I don't feel like we have a lot of Spider-Man or Peter Parker characterization of any real strength in this graphic novel. I will say I was pleasantly surprised with the amount of agency they did give to Black Cat, who is faced with a lot of internal turmoil and moral dilemmas. She is given a sizable subplot and serves as someone so much more than just a pretty face for Spider-Man. And I thought this was well done. And as we approach the end of this collection, I think it's time we give Symbiote Spider-Man a grade. For a great concept that I believe was only fairly executed, The Comic Book Report gives Symbiote Spider-Man by Peter David a C+. For me, this was a really average collection. I admit I had my hopes set kind of high when I saw who was attached to this, and that it was set during one of my favorite periods in Spider-Man's history. And while I do think the handling of secondary characters like Mysterio and Black Cat were done extremely well, I was left wanting with the characterizations of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I feel like he plays third or fourth fiddle in his own title. And while it's hard to fault this collection completely, especially when it does have such rich characterizations, I wish we had more core conflict with Spider-Man himself. I will say, I do love the interactions we get with the alien suit, especially when Peter Parker is more or less unconscious. But as I finished the collection, this was just not the groundbreaking series I was sincerely hoping for. And while I would recommend this for Spider-Man fans, I wouldn't consider it a classic or a must-read, merely a bit above average. But I am excited to have it in my Spider-Man library, and it hasn't dissuaded me from checking out some of these other Symbiote Spider-Man miniseries or graphic novels. If you've read Symbiote Spider-Man or any of its follow-ups, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. And that's going to do it today for the Comic Book Report. Subscribe now so you don't miss out on any future content, and feel free to check out some of my other videos. Have a good one.